should not be meeting friends. If your friends ask you to meet, you should say no. If your friends ask you to meet, you should say no. You should say no.
Responding to a drop in business in late February, Nancy Pelosi encouraged the people of San Francisco to gather in large crowds in Chinatown.
She has been going around to show that it is perfectly safe to be here.
It's exciting to be here, especially at this time, to be able to be unified with our community. We do want to say to people, come to Chinatown. Here we are. Come join us.
So having tacitly denied the severity of coronavirus by urging people to congregate in huge groups as recently as a month ago, Pelosi then had the nerve to blame Trump's early denial for the spread of COVID-19.
The president, his denial at the beginning was deadly.
You must stay at home.
Come join us. We should be taking every precaution. Come join us.
That's not social distancing. On February 9th, New York City Health Commissioner Osiris Barbeau posted a tweet urging citizens to flock to Chinatown in large numbers to celebrate the Lunar New Year, while suggesting that advice to avoid crowds was misinformation. She urged people to take the subway, visit restaurants, and attend parades.
There is no reason not to take the subway, not to take the bus, not to go out to your favorite restaurant, and certainly not to miss the parade next Sunday.
A week later, she was still urging people to go out into crowds in order to rebuke discrimination. That's not social distancing. On the same day, Mark D. Levine, chair of New York City Council Health Committee, lauded how huge crowds gathering in New York City's Chinatown was a powerful show of defiance of the coronavirus scare, tweeting 4 images of large groups of people gathered to celebrate the occasion. Most of the attendees were Chinese, and some of them had almost certainly recently returned from China. That's not social distancing. Now New York is the hardest hit state in the entire country and accounts for over 66,000 corona infections. On March 2nd, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio urged New Yorkers to get out on the town despite coronavirus. He told them to go to cinemas where they'd be in close proximity to hundreds of other people, and even recommended a specific film. That's not social distancing. As late as March 3rd, London Mayor Sadiq Khan said it was misinformation to suggest large crowds shouldn't be gathering at concerts or on public transport, and that they faced no risk.
If people are coughing and sneezing on a crowded tube carriage, that is going to put you at risk. You know, people might be saying now, as the mayor of the city, should we still be getting on public transport and using the tubes?
Well, it's very important that we don't spread panic or alarm based on misinformation. And what we need to do as politicians is to rely upon the best advice we have from the public health experts and from the chief medical officer. There is no risk in using the tube or buses or other forms of public transport or going to a concert.
On March 10th, he said there were, quote, no specific concerns about using public transport. Just over 2 weeks later, after London became the epicenter of the virus outbreak in the UK, Sadiq Khan changed his tune. He pleaded with people to stay at home and revealed that nearly 1/3 of Transport for London staff are now off sick or self-isolating themselves. Guess the cleaning didn't work. And despite all of this, many rush hour trains are still packed because Khan made the galaxy brain decision to take half of them out of service. Social distancing UK style. That's not social distancing. Meanwhile, dog walkers in the Peak District with no one around them for half a mile are getting drone surveilled and publicly shamed by police. Meanwhile, flights from New York continue to land in London with passengers undergoing no checks whatsoever. That's not social distancing. And let's not forget how the left-wing mayor of Florence and leftist political activist groups encouraged Italians to hug Chinese people on the street. That was last month. Now Italy has the most coronavirus deaths in the entire world. Tens of thousands of Chinese migrant textile workers, many of them illegal, are employed in the town of Prato, near Florence and across Lombardy. the epicenter of the pandemic. Many of these Chinese migrants traveled back and forth between Italy and China during the peak of the coronavirus outbreak, and Italians were urged to go out and have physical contact with them to prove they weren't racist. According to top Italian virologist Dr. Giorgio Palù, Italy's left-wing government refused to isolate people coming in from China because it was seen as, quote, racist. That's not social distancing. In Spain, the left-wing government encouraged citizens to participate in 75 feminist marches across the country. This was on March the 8th, just 3 weeks ago. The rallies were attended by Spain's deputy prime minister as well as the prime minister's wife and mother. Apparently, in an effort to downplay the danger to the public of attending the rallies, the Spanish government failed to report new coronavirus cases between March 6th and March 9th. Despite numerous warnings, the Spanish government's main point man for coronavirus, Fernando Simon, told the public there was no risk. Spain has now lost over 8,000 people to COVID-19, and the Spanish government is being sued over its support for these rallies, which potentially exposed hundreds of thousands of people to coronavirus, all in the name of taking down the patriarchy. That's not social distancing. So all these Western leaders actually urged against social distancing for weeks as the virus spread around the globe because they saw it as more important to prevent racism. They were even allowed to urge against social distancing via social media. Were any of them banned? Did any of them have their posts deleted by social media giants? Did any of them apologize? No. Yet the president of Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro, had his tweet censored for encouraging precisely the same thing our leaders encouraged for weeks on end. Meanwhile, Twitter allows literal Chinese Communist Party propaganda in the claim that the US was responsible for the COVID outbreak, while Laura Ingraham gets suspended for tweeting about an FDA-approved drug that numerous studies say cures coronavirus. Throughout January and February, the mainstream media repeatedly claimed it's just the flu, bro, didn't question the numbers coming out of China, and were more preoccupied with labeling people racists for making bat soup memes. Were any of them banned? Did any of them have their posts deleted by social media giants? Did any of them apologize? No. Meanwhile, in the UK, this woman went shopping encased in a giant plastic ball.
Extreme measures of self-isolation. This one? No, it's all right. No, it's all right. You're coming towards me.
That's not social distancing. That's zorbing. Brighton's Gay Pride Parade, attended by thousands of people who will crowd narrow streets, is set to go ahead. That's not social distancing.
Allah Ta'ala हमारा बहुत बड़ा गफूरुर रहीम है. उसने कोरोना वायरस को भेज दिया है. इसलिए कि जो हम लोगों पे जुल्म ढा रहा है ना, उसी को अल्लाह ताला बुलाएगा. अब तो ये वो फैसला करेगा कौन रहेगा और कौन जाएगा. हम लोग यहाँ झुंड बना के खड़े हैं, हम लोगों को कुछ नहीं होगा, कोई बीमारी नहीं होगी.
That's not social distancing. Hundreds of Egyptian men marching in the streets shouting Allah Akbar to protest against coronavirus. That's not social distancing. Meanwhile, in sensitive, migrant-heavy areas of European cities, social distancing will not be enforced by police because that could also be seen as racist. A top government official in France said that lockdowns shouldn't be imposed and shops should remain open in these areas in order to prevent riots. That's definitely not social distancing. It's absolutely crucial for you to help me fight the war on free speech by supporting me via Subscribe Star, link in description, and also signing up for my free newsletter at summit.news/newsletter.